Well, as chair of the State of Iowa Doge Task Force, I welcome everybody and call the meeting to order here on our fourth and final official Doge Task Force meeting. And I'll first look for approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Is there a motion? So move, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Terry seconded. Any comments? Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Well, now just looking at the final task force meeting, and there has been so many hours put into this by everyone around this table and more. And it's been 167 days since the first meeting. Might feel like 167 years. We've had over 5,000 comments submitted on the portal, and they came from 99 different counties. And I stopped counting at 72, but I know between those 167 days, I attended 72 meetings. But everyone around this, you attended all of your subgroup meetings, the task force meetings, and wherever you went, I'm sure you had questions. And that really goes to the depth and the importance of what the call from the governor to this task force was. And throughout everything that you all have learned, whether it was 130 different workforce programs, the 37 data centers, and over 150 of the server labs there, we saw a lot of the government that we never really had it sight into before. And we were able to also engage with so many stakeholders throughout the process. And we were at day 167, and we committed to the governor that we would have a report by the 180th day. So on September 29th, I look forward to compiling the reports that you all are going to be submitting together into one report that I will present to the governor by September 29th. And this is a huge lift. We know we've had different discussions, drafts, conversations regarding every one of those recommendations. And you all should be really proud of what you do and what you have done. And going towards putting together a report, it really came to, this is a huge list, and we really need to be thoughtful about it. Someone just told me this morning, and I said, I'm going to put it in here, words matter. And we've all learned that time and time and over, whether we were younger as kids and even in business professional settings here. And, words matter, and they can pull people in, they can uplift people, but they can also push away. So as we put together the report from the different subgroups, we'll take that into consideration and really make sure that the data is there, the citations are, the sources, so that everyone can really see all the work that you all put in, all the other matters, and people that contributed. So thank you, task force members. As we go to your subgroup reports, we'll have you introduce yourself so that you are recognized with the subgroup report that you will be turning in today. We've had over 10 agency directors, probably all agency directors engaged with the different surveys that put out to the agencies. And we thank all of those, as well as the different government employees. I was going to go try and count how many in calendar invites, but that was taking a little bit too long. But I know everybody has had their fair share of whether it's citizens, neighbors, government employees, and had those discussions. I'm also really proud to say that we have our ex officio members here. So Representative Hans Wills, as well as Senator Dan Dawson, and their contribution on the legislative side. I can also say that all branches were engaged and included in this report. Now, they are ex officio members, and this task force was done by the executive branch. However, throughout this process, we had Senator Isaiah Knox, as well as Chief Justice Christensen reach out, and they were putting in comments and recommendations as well. So not only did this task force prompt recommendations from all across the state, but it also brought to the table every branch. And it shows the support that everybody knows change is constant. It's the only thing that's constant. And just how we respond to it, how we discuss it, and how we act with it is the most important. And I also want to call out thank you to the news outlets. Last meeting, I challenged saying we have 45 recommendations. Please listen to all of them. And then report. We have 45 recommendations, 3 different subgroups, and a lot of themes and recommendations in there. Please cover more than just one. And you all did. So thank you very much for getting that news out there, because it is tough to convey what all recommendations could be in a manner while they're still in draft form. And we're going to be getting the reports from the subgroups today. Especially, there was the editorial by the Register that really just spoke to there's savings here. And the governor asked this group of people around this table to take what you know in business, take what you have for knowledge for government, learn more, listen to Iowans, and put together thoughtful recommendations that we all can support and take to the governor and the elected officials to then review. So thank you for that coverage, because I think we all can agree, we all are here about the same thing. No matter what aisle you're on, no matter what outlet, whether what group you're with, we all want a strong Iowa. You wouldn't be here listening or just online listening if you didn't want a strong Iowa. And we can only do that if we're all working together. And to work together means to discuss some hard things too. And I don't know if you know, but we had some hard discussions in the past 160 days. But I was very proud to see that we were able to have it. And a public discourse that's respectful is something we should also always support. And I think this table and this task force group really showed how that could be done. I was raised to listen to both sides of the aisles. We still engage Harkin Institute, getting vocational rehab employment opportunities out there internationally. Also, fun fact, I love, my hobbies are fun, and Hoover Library, and talking about the OG of Doge with Herbert Hoover and informing so many people about it was something special for me too. But we all have to come together if we're really going to make change impactful and reduce the rhetoric and fighting. So today I'm looking forward to hearing the different subgroup reports. And on this, again, we'll have 3 different chairs reporting out of the subgroups. The chair, Terry Lutz of Return on Taxpayer Investment. Kathy Kay could not be here, so Adam is subbing in for her group, saying their recommendations, as well as Reynolds Kramer for the workforce group. Now, throughout this timeline, we listened, we learned, then we listened again and learned and listened, and researched all the way. And one thing that you will find or maybe not find here today are some things that have changed. And as we said, change is constant, but I wanted to give 2 examples that really showcase how this task force could talk about some meaty recommendations that we all get stopped by no matter where we are on a sidewalk, and how we were able to listen, learn, discuss, and research, and come to some other recommendations. One of those were in June, we did bring up the consolidation of counties. That is something that everyone brings up when talking, whether it was after February when this task force was created, or after the governor asked us to approach this like a business, and how would you run a business with 99 counties? After that, there was more research done, and the recommendation in August that was drafted really was going to a shared service model that would have a different regional maps to be able to deploy the services and keep the geographical boundaries intact. So that was one way of a creative solution that we also had a successful pilot with our mental health regions with HHS. So you start small, you fix it, and then you scale it. And that's what we did there. We also looked at the response back in August with the Iowa title guarantee. It was something that when you're a commercial developer, when you're going different building businesses out, sometimes you are required to have title insurance. And there was perspective of why can't we want to support it in Iowa? Well, Iowa title guarantee is a huge success. And we sat down, the subgroup sat down and listened to a story that is not often covered. It is a self-sustaining part of the government, so it gets no state money to operate. It then takes the money that it's earned and reinvests it back into the state. And these are the stories that we need to be telling each other, and we should be supporting. So a challenge today for us reporting from this meeting is, yes, there will be some disagreements and maybe some different opinions, but overall, this is very data driven, it is research driven, and it is driven with the mindset that the governor tasked with this group to approach it with. How would you run it as a business, looking at the data, and then how would you recommend going forward? So I look forward to hearing all the reports on this, and hopefully we can also hear and see more success stories as we close out today moving on. With that, we'll turn it over to Reynolds Kramer with the Workforce Improvement Group.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, good morning. I'm Reynolds Kramer, Chair of the Workforce Improvement Group, and it's my honor to speak on behalf of our work group at this final task force meeting. Let me just introduce our team quickly. Joe Murphy, Brianne Schulte, and David Spalding. It's been an honor to work with you. From the very beginning, we approached our mission and work with a mindset of listening and learning. We knew that if our recommendations were going to be meaningful, they had to be informed by the voices of Iowans who live and work within this system every day. We reviewed citizen comments that highlighted frustrations, gaps, but also examples of what was working. We convened numerous focus groups with small and mid-sized employers, economic development leaders, and higher education partners. This dialogue was invaluable as we heard honest discussions about current challenges and frustrations, while at the same time, success stories that remind us that this system is capable of delivering real results when it's aligned correctly. We coupled those conversations with a data-driven review of Iowa workforce system, examining programs, structures, and efficiencies, governance, funding streams, and coordination with mechanics. And we look closely at where resources are flowing, how dollars are administered, and whether those investments are actually producing the outcomes Iowans need. In doing so, we saw a system that has many strengths, but also one that is fragmented, outdated in places, and not always easy to navigate. Through it all, our approach was collaborative, deliberative, and grounded in facts. Let me emphasize, this was not an academic exercise. It was about learning directly from the citizens and businesses who depend on these programs. As we reflect, one message rings clear. This system is ready for a positive change. For decades, Iowa has maintained many of the same program structures and funding models, even as our economy and workforce needs have shifted dramatically. In fact, we found that nearly 1/3 of training dollars in some programs never reach employers or workers, lost instead to administrative and financing costs, while millions more go unused each year simply because the system is too complicated to access. The careers that were high in demand when these programs were created are not always the same careers that are driven and driving growth today. At the same time, Iowa has so much going for it. We offer a high quality of life, a business climate that is friendly and competitive, and a strong community that people want to be a part of. Workforce is at the center of economic development. It is a single factor that can make or break our ability to grow, attract new businesses, and ensure prosperity for our citizens. And at the same time, Iowa's economy looks nothing like it did when many of these programs were created. Today, our growth depends on advanced manufacturing, healthcare, logistics, and emerging technologies like AI and data analytics. Yet our workforce system has not kept pace with those shifts. Every dollar we spend on workforce should have a long-term impact, positioning Iowans for advancement and giving employers the talent they need. This is about more than just filling jobs. It's about creating a system that equips people to live, learn, and grow and stay here in Iowa. And with the momentum of the task force and the government's leadership, we now feel it's time to modernize and strengthen our approach. The recommendations we are putting forward aim to deliver high ROI and scalable solutions with measurable impact. They also focus on making sure that every dollar spent on workforce training is used effectively and strategically. Broadly, they fall into 4 opportunity areas. First, we need employer-driven modernization and alignment of workforce funding. Employers told us consistently that the current programs are difficult to navigate and too restrictive. By consolidating and streamlining funding and building in a regular review and sunset approach, we can ensure dollars are going directly to the programs that work and are being used in ways that are responsive to business needs, that are focused on the skills that are needed by employers. Second, we must expand workforce and work-based learning and upscaling pathways. This includes creating more apprenticeships, internships, pre-apprenticeship opportunities, that begin earlier in the worker's journey, while also giving employers tools to reskill and upskill their existing workers. These are practical, earn and learn models that allow Iowans to build skills while staying connected to the workforce. Third, we need to improve system coordination and employer engagement. The workforce system should not feel like a maze. We envision mechanisms like a streamlined red tape hotline to identify and remove barriers and business-led panels that help evaluate programs. These ideas are about creating a culture of continuous improvement and ensuring employees remain true partners in shaping solutions. Finally, we must scale training and program capacity. That means investing in facilities, equipment, and innovative delivery models like hybrid and short-form credentials, while also tackling the instructor shortage by making it easier for industry professionals to teach. If we want to keep pace with demand, we have to build the capacity to train more Iowans more quickly and in ways that are accessible to all parts of the state. Together, these areas form a roadmap for a workforce system that is more responsive, more efficient, and better aligned with Iowa's economic future. As chair, I'd like to take a moment to express my gratitude to Terry with the ROI committee and Kathy with the technology committee. I wish to thank you for taking on difficult tasks while researching your committee's areas of focus, voicing concerns about topics like fraud prevention, IT procurement, and what our entire education world looks like years from now are very important to conversations to have sooner rather than later. As an example, thinking about how we can enable teachers in Iowa with great benefits, specialized training, and clear expectations is vital to our state's future. To my fellow work group members, David, Brianne, and Joe, you brought diverse perspectives and a deep commitment to this work, and it's been a privilege to collaborate with you. To employers, educators, and citizens who took the time to share their insights, you grounded our conversations in reality, and your voices helped shape these recommendations. And to Iowa Workforce Development and our state partners, you have been open and receptive and eager to think differently about how we serve Iowans. What gives me confidence is not only the recommendations themselves, but also the spirit of collaboration and momentum that has carried this process forward. With Governor Reynolds' leadership and with all of us working together, I believe Iowa can realize a workforce system that truly empowers people to live, learn, and grow. Thank you for this opportunity to present our work today.
Thank you. Very thoughtful recommendations there. I know with all the work and all of the community college presidents, the different agencies, different programs, and the interviews that you guys all spent time on was well worth it, and very much to recommendations.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to the technology group, which Adam will be presenting here today.
Yes, my name is Adam Cuny, and I'm going to go ahead and represent the technology subcommittee today. Unfortunately, Kathy was unable to join us, Kathy K, but I'm going to go ahead now and let my other members go ahead and introduce themselves as well.
Yeah, good afternoon all. Brian Scott.
Good afternoon, Beth Kinsman.
And this is our technology subcommittee. Thank you all for being here today. From the outset, like the other work groups, our approach was grounded in listening. We carefully reviewed the comments submitted by Iowans, and we heard the same themes: support for modernization, curiosity about the potential of AI, and desire for digital services that are easier to use. We then layered in perspective from state government itself. We conducted a survey of agency directors to understand the daily challenges and opportunities within their technology environments. Their feedback painted a clear picture of where systems remain fragmented, where processes create extra work, and where there's opportunity to improve. Beyond the survey, we engaged directly with stakeholders like the Iowa State Association of Counties, who helped us understand the challenges and aspirations of local governments. We also heard from state leaders about progress that is already underway, such as consolidation of IT services and centralization of procurement. These conversations underscored something important. While there is much work ahead, Iowa is not starting from zero. Real steps are already being taken, and our task has been to build on that momentum. Throughout this process, what has stood out to me is the commitment and dedication of state leaders. It's been refreshing to see how open and engaged everyone has been, how eager people are to learn from one another, and how seriously they take the responsibility of stewarding taxpayer dollars. What we heard and what we know is that technology is no longer a back office function. It is at the heart of how government serves citizens. Now is the time to harness technology to improve efficiency, to safeguard resources, and to make every interaction between citizens and government simpler and more intuitive. We also recognize that technology is not static. It is evolving rapidly, and Iowans' expectations are evolving right alongside it. People are used to seamless digital experiences in their daily lives, and they rightly expect their government to provide the same. This is not about chasing the newest tool for its own sake. It's about using proven, practical technology to make government more effective, more transparent, and more accessible. Our task force team can tell you from our own professional perspective, the state is positioned to take this step. The leadership is in place, the priorities are clear, and the commitment to modernization is strong. Now is the moment to continue this work, to make smart investments, and to ensure technology is fully leveraged in services of Iowa's people. Our recommendation focuses on 6 opportunity areas where we believe improvements will make a measurable impact. First, we recommend advancing operational process efficiency. Iowa's government currently operates on a patchwork of systems and processes, many of which are outdated and duplicative. By consolidating platforms, expanding shared services, and moving away from requirements like paper signatures and certified mail, we can reduce inefficiencies, save money, and free staff time for higher value work. For example, the state spent more than $10 million on postage last year. If postage spending could be cut by 10% just by eliminating outdated legal requirements, it would save more than $1 million. Second, we emphasize fraud prevention. Protecting taxpayer dollars must be a priority. Iowans' financial loss from fraud totaled $52 million in 2024, up 204% from 2020, according to the Federal Trade Commission. By adopting centralized standards and tools for identity verification and fraud detection, Iowa can catch issues earlier, reduce losses, and build trust with our citizens. Third, we focused on the citizen experience. Government services should be as intuitive and user-friendly as the best private sector platforms. We envision a single sign-on for Iowans to access multiple services, simpler forms, and websites designed with accessibility and clarity at the forefront. National data show that only 36% of people find government processes interactions intuitive, and fewer than half are satisfied with online government services in general. To address this, we want to build in real feedback mechanisms so citizens can tell us what's working and bluntly what needs improvement. Fourth, we propose IT procurement streamlining. By advancing procurement streamlining and adopting a clear cloud strategy, Iowa can get better value for its investments and put new solutions in place more quickly. For example, in the IT space, for each percentage point of savings achieved through improving system procurement processes, Iowa could realize cost savings of approximately $3.23 million annually. Fifth, we recommend local government enablement. Counties and cities are serving Iowans every day, and many of them face the same technology challenges as the state, but without the scale or resources to address them. We believe Iowa can extend shared state platforms, tools, and standards to local governments, giving them access to cost-effective, secure systems that they could not implement on their own. Finally, we highlight the importance of data governance and reporting. Data is one of the state's greatest assets, but today it is often siloed and inconsistent. We recommend adopting common standards, building cross-agency reporting tools, and ensuring that any use of AI is done transparently and responsibly. This is about making better decisions, improving accountability, and giving both policymakers and citizens clear insight into results. Together, these recommendations form a comprehensive approach. They are not about technology for its own sake. They are about using technology as a tool to deliver better service, better stewardship, and better outcomes for Iowa. In closing, I want to thank the members of the Technology Work Group for their dedication and thoughtful contributions. This has been a team effort, and I am proud in the way the team worked together to craft these solutions that are both ambitious and practical. Not to mention the countless early morning meetings that caused my caffeine consumption to increase dramatically. Additionally, I want to thank our state partners, especially the Department of Management's IT division, for their openness, their insights, and their commitment to making government more effective. I know, Matt, we've been blowing you up for months, and you finally get to move on from us. So much. We really do appreciate your help. This has been both a rewarding and encouraging experience, seeing government and private sector perspectives come together aligned around the same goal, making technology work for the people of Iowa. With the leadership of Governor Reynolds and the collaboration of this task force, I am confident these recommendations will not just sit on a shelf. They will translate into real improvement that citizens will feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. I might have to rename Valentine's Day as IT Day because I love the heart of the system is IT. They're going to love it. But you bring up a great point, and that is every one of these I've been asked about these recommendations and the draft ones, but at the heart of it really is to drive it is the technology piece of bad data in, bad data out, getting it to be good data, but also good processes. And so throughout this whole, around this table, focusing on that processes and that data is to actually realizing the efficiency gain. So they will be the heart, they will now be the heart department for me. But that was great. And just the centralized standard is something that is business standard. We are not talking about an innovative approach or recommendations to technology. This is just to get the government to what business is already at and how businesses within their own business units communicate with each other, work from each other, and also have transparency to be able to be accountable to each other. So this is, although we'll might need some more innovative in the future, but let's just get it up to business standards at the very least. So thank you very much. And those are all very, very great recommendations there. And then now we'll be turning to Terry Lutz, the chair of the Return on Investment.
First of all, after hearing all those recommendations, I think our group better go back to the drawing board. Pretty good stuff. My name's Terry Lutz, and I'd like to have my committee introduce themselves as well.
Nick Bowdish, Shelley Docting. Mark Campbell. Kurt Dovart, Crawford County Board of Supervisors, live in Denison.
Yeah, it's been great working with the three of you. It's been a lot of fun and very interesting. And like the other two groups, our work's really been done in the spirit of helping all of Iowa. The breadth of expertise and perspectives that each of you have brought to the table has made our conversations richer and our recommendations much stronger. We thank the many stakeholders who have engaged with us to form our recommendations and the insight that they provide. Our group is excited and proud of the positive recommendations we are making. But first, I'd like to apologize to our work group and all the members of the committee, as it seems some of my comments from the last time we met were not clear and have led to misinterpretation and undue concern from our valued educators and other public sector employees. To ease those concerns, I want to make it perfectly clear on two major points that have been totally misrepresented and misunderstood. First of all, teacher pay. No one on our committee has ever suggested cutting teacher pay. In fact, we were focused on increasing teacher pay and on top of regular pay, providing incentives in the form of bonuses up to 10% of base pay to those educators that can be measured and rewarded for increasing student achievements. The goal is straightforward: to increase our student achievements and reward those who are making it happen. Other states are figuring out how to do this, and it is improving their student outcomes. Our national ranking in student achievements have declined significantly over the past several decades, and our children deserve better as they compete for jobs in the future. We challenge our educators to find savings from areas not directly improving student outcomes, so more can be invested where it counts, in the classroom. Some of our districts are already creating savings by sharing services with other districts. This needs to be scaled across more districts to find more savings that can be invested in our teachers and our students. Second major topic is IPERS and public employee benefits. No one on our committee has ever suggested taking away IPERS from our current public employees. No one on our committee has ever suggested reducing public employee pay or the healthcare benefits from our public employees. Those benefits that have been promised to our current employees must remain. We would never recommend anything that would jeopardize the solvency of our pension benefits. It's unfortunate people misinterpreted this, and if my comments led to that belief, then I apologize to all of our valued public employees for that.
Our focus was on helping our public sector be more competitive with the private sector in attracting and retaining top talent. The men and women who serve as public sector employees are vital to the strength, competitiveness, and long-term success of our state. Our recommendation is to commit a reoccurring comprehensive study to benchmark and optimize the total rewards package for public sector employees. It would give policymakers a reliable, data-driven basis for decisions while preserving commitments to current employees. The study could examine a defined contribution plan like many other states have moved to, and if viable, we are recommending giving employees a choice. Employees could decide if they want to stay on the current plan or move to a different one if it's better for them and their families. Some public employees already have a choice and often opt out of IPERS. We believe giving public employees a choice is better and can help attract and retain talent. We recognize any changes to a compensation model would likely take years to implement, but if it does, that's okay. Our state's going to be around for a long time. Our recommendations go further than just a discussion on pay and benefits. We must streamline hiring to make it easier for early career professionals to enter state service, including transitioning our interns and our apprentices into full-time employees. We must broaden qualifications to focus more on skills. We must invest in professional development, consistent, accessible training, and leadership opportunities for every employee so that public service remains a career path people are proud of and choose to stay in. In addition to education and modernizing our public workforce, we looked at shared government services at the local levels and maximizing several government operations. While Iowa's 99 counties and numerous municipalities provide important local identity, they also duplicate many government functions. We recommend pursuing shared government service delivery opportunities at the local level. By encouraging regional service models, creating incentives for shared operations, and in some cases exploring consolidation of offices, we can reduce duplication and deliver better service to our citizens. The emphasis here is on collaboration, empowering local governments to work together with state support to find efficiencies that better benefit their communities. Finally, we highlight the importance of maximizing public sector operational efficiencies across our government. This includes streamlining permitting processes and updating outdated statutory requirements that add unnecessary costs. We are suggesting assessing state-owned assets and leases, such as the Iowa Communication Network, known as the ICN, Honey Creek Resort, and many others to determine if they are providing a decent return on our taxpayers' investments. This is about creating a culture of accountability and continuous improvement so all Iowans get the strongest possible return on every taxpayer dollar. To summarize, Iowa's investment in education is substantial, and with greater focus, we can give our children a better education. Our public workforce is aging, and our hiring protocols and compensation models need to be modernized to remain competitive. Local government structures create overlapping services that could be delivered more efficiently through collaboration, especially with new technology that are available today. Across state operations, there are several assets and processes that could be streamlined to save money and improve service. We were not focused on how to spend less. We were focused on spending smarter, looking for ways to put money where it would be more impactful, like our recommendations on education. Serving on this committee has been an interesting assignment and, in some cases, difficult. I'm proud of our work group's willingness to look at many facets of our government and ask, how can we do better? Finally, to all our teachers and other public employees, thank you for your service. Our recommendations are about equipping you with more modern tools to help you make an even bigger impact with faster hiring, world-class training, and resources to focus on what matters most. If my previous comments led you to believe anything less, then I apologize. We especially want to thank the many state employees who shared their pain points, and who took the time for candid feedback and were open to new ideas. Your commitment to improvement is clear. Now is the time to act and build on the momentum of this task force. We ask our legislators and public employees to embrace our recommendations and work together to make Iowa even better. Thank you, Governor Reynolds, for your leadership. It's been interesting, it's been fun, and most of all, it's been an honor to sit beside and work with each of you. So thank you.
Like you said, here to equip, have a bigger impact, and create a world-class operation based on return on taxpayer investment. So thank you, Gary. Now, the governor asked this task force to put together recommendations of what the government would look like if we were operating like a business, and to take where Iowa is at, what we have right now, and how could we equip it, as Terry and his group said, equip for better impact. And this group, we weren't asked to do a normal cutting or looking at certain dollars. We were asked to look at the effectiveness and process. And as we know in business, especially on the manufacturing floor, that what follows effectiveness and process is savings, whether it's savings of time, savings of money, savings of resource. And we all know that time and money and resources are very finite, and we have seen them reduce. So how can we take the money, even if it's the same, like Terry said, have it impact more, spend less on different operational overhead, and really take the value to all Iowans. And I think about the Iowa slogan of freedom to flourish. So as we go throughout after this task force, back to our businesses, or talking about how this task force recommendations come about, flourish is a really good word to describe what we want the state of Iowa government to be. Often when you see that sign on the side of the road, you're entering a state and you're thinking about the different businesses that you hope have that freedom to flourish. And this task force was tasked by the governor to say, how can we make government have freedom to flourish? How ironic is it that we have to take that slogan and say, hey, we should probably apply that to the government too. And as you pointed out with different facts of the sentiment of what online participation in government processes is, I think we have a low bar to exceed, but I think our expectations should have higher than that. So don't be shy on telling the story. Also, as Iowans, I've also heard, whether it's Iowa Economic Development Authority or ABI conferences, is Iowans don't tell our stories as much. And that is something of why when we go through here and we're learning and we're listening and we're talking to groups, whether it's the community college presidents, whether it was Iowa State Association of Counties, chambers, businesses, etc. We really do have to tell our stories because there are so many things that many don't know about. And whether it was the Child Care Task Force Coalition that took shared services to be a pilot program that we could see succeed, as well as leveraging the technology even at that level. And no other state has that data-driven real-time map like Iowa has, as well as the workforce training embedded into that system. So now we look at this, we are stepping forward, as already said too, we have a very stable foundation. We already had realignment from 37 agencies to 16, already saved 217 million. And I should have started adding the numbers up on each of the reports of just how many millions of dollars that could be saved just in the remarks today. And just this telling of the stories of whether it was literal or figurative waste that Beth and her group found also in your area, but also the Iowa Title Guarantee System. Those are stories that are great. It's very Iowan. It's self-sustaining. It reinvests in Iowa. So let's keep supporting that. So how do we make sure that those type of efficiency processes and great foundations of Iowa government, how can we get that to be told? Because that is not what gets out in the news. So I implore anybody listening to really think about if there is great stories, because why would we create new if we already have great things going on? And the only way to know if we have great things going on is to really talk about it. Throughout the different workforce groups or the different groups, the workforce group, employer driven, that is very Iowan. I know we come from the ag sector and the farmer just jumps in and problem solves it. So we need to make sure that the partners are right alongside us. The funding is not antiquated, but it is going to the trainers and the trainees, as well as the feedback, like the red tape hotline. That way, any programs that are set up that are well-intentioned, that at the time was a great idea, sometimes that's not in perpetuity. So how can we solve it by getting quicker feedback on that? With the technology, I mean, that's all I want to hear is simple, intuitive, and evolving. Those are things that, although it is simple to say, it is really hard to do. But the work and the recommendations that you and the workforce group have put together will really create not just a great foundation, but a springboard that Iowa can be leading the nation in all of these efforts. And I would say almost all these recommendations really, be careful, they all depend on yours.
No pressure.
No pressure. People know that. Yeah, so like, Valentine's Day is coming. You guys are gonna and we all want that too. And then return on investment. Your quotes on focus on the spending, make it impactful. Then modernizing the systems and reducing the duplicity with streamlining. All of those things just apply to such of the big areas of what taxpayer investment is and where the money flows. And all of that, it was research-based. And the next step is really we need to be committed to taking these recommendations and making it sustainable. The next steps would really be going, we've already had the hard discussions, not all of them. We've had some of them. We'll have some of the hard discussions done. But as we continue this process, I really encourage that anybody listening here who wants to have a conversation, who wants to report on the story, really, it's not just sitting at the same table, but it's sitting at the table side by side. And that is what Iowans do. We are hardworking. We want to get into problem solving mode. We don't like to tell our stories, but sometimes we got to be uncomfortable and get out there and tell those good things that your companies or your areas of government are doing. And then the next steps is delivering the report to the governor. So we're committed. This is day 167. We'll be taking the 3 different reports, and I'll be compiling and delivering it to the governor by 180, and that is September 29th. And as mentioned in the opening, we have to be thoughtful with our words. We want to make sure that every word in there is impactful and it's very clear on what the recommendations are and what are the recommendations that are not in there. Because from here on out, the governor will take it. She and elected officials will compile their agenda of what they want to put together for the Legos of building the house that they want to really push forward for this next year on advancing Iowa. And every one of us had a part in that brick, but it's more important about how it gets put together. And it's up to the elected officials and the governor to take these and put together what they think is right for Iowa and what's right now. Although we can say that these are the way that government would operate if it is a business, they might be able to say, like, it might not be now, but maybe in the future. So that is what we elect those officials and the governors to do, to be able to take the report as she asked that. What are the business principles that we would apply if it was a government, if government acted as a business? So now it is on their desks. Public comment is back to normalcy with elected officials. So that is the next step of talking to your elected officials, talk to the governor. We'll be delivering the report by September 29th. And really the biggest part that I think is going to be impactful or the most important as they put together their pieces is to make sure that it's committed to sustainable measures. Because although all of these recommendations will make an impact and will move Iowa forward and strengthen Iowa, how it gets put together and how it can be in a sustaining way so that we don't have to come to the table for some of these hard discussions, that it is embedded and it becomes an ecosystem of collaboration, of innovation, and effectiveness. And through that, hopefully, all citizens could feel a tangible feeling of efficiency that they can trust. So that, I will call this meeting to adjourn. I will take the reports from each subgroup and deliver them to the governor after compilation. So thank you again to everyone around this table and everybody who's engaged and gave them feedback and any way along the line of the timeline. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You were a great leader.
I'm gonna identify as legally blind, but I'm not.